Hello everyone, and welcome back to Yogaphora Conversations. This is my YouTube channel where I try to highlight professionals in our area. We are in Brentwood, Missouri, in the CIBC Place building where Flex Time Fitness Gym is located and where my Yogaphora LLC massage therapy and yoga practice is operating. So we explore stories of purpose, transformation, and community, one conversation at a time. Today I have a great pleasure of welcoming someone who embodies all of those values. Sarah Cantrell, the one and only. Sarah is a dedicated educator, entrepreneur, community leader with an impressive background in teaching, special education, business ownership, and volunteer leadership. She's also a proud former owner of the Tutor Doctor franchise here in St. Louis, where she and her husband Paul Cantrell, supported hundreds of families while earning multiple awards for excellence and community impact. Beyond her career, Sarah is passionate about horses, music, and giving back, from her work with Helping Hands and Horses to her involvement in the Kiwanis Club and the Southwest Chamber of Commerce. So, Sarah, I'm excited to have you here today. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Let's get started with some background questions in your early life. So let's start from the beginning. What was it like growing up in Farmington, Missouri?
Farmington is just a small town atmosphere. Everybody knows everybody, and I just remember having a pretty great childhood of riding my bike around the neighborhood and having a ton of friends, playing sports. I'm a huge baseball fan. I played a lot of wiffle ball growing up, basketball. Just very active, typical kiddo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, and then I started riding horses when I was 7, so it just consumed my life, and I've been obsessed ever since.
Yeah, growing up in the countryside, and this was way before the advent of technology and the internet, right?
Yes, I love that.
Back in the days, people would write letters.
Yes.
Would write journals.
And they would ride their bikes too.
Exactly.
So like I rode my bikes all around the neighborhood, and that was before cell phones. And so the porch light would always call us home, right? Paul was the same way. So I think we're probably the last generation to have done that.
Uh-huh.
And
are you also from Farmington?
I'm small. No, not quite.
Small town,
small,
though.
They're small town though, so just similar to what Farmington is, just a small town.
Gotcha. So the vibe was kind of the same.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Just like they say, St. Louis is a big town with a small town vibe.
it really
it really
is.
is.
Right?
We know
Oh, yeah.
everybody in St. Louis pretty much. It's just like a small town atmosphere.
That's so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I love the sense of community that you can create even in a big, urban territory.
me too.
You mentioned you've been singing and riding horses for over 30 years. Do you remember what first drew you to those passions?
Yeah, I think for singing, I started singing in church when I was around 7 years old. It drew me in because it's a way to express yourself, in church and as you're praising God and things like that. And so I think church was a big indicator with my love for singing. And with the horses, I'll be honest with you, I remember my very first lesson on horseback,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember what got me into it. I do remember my dad would take me to all my horseback riding lessons though, because my mom was allergic to horses.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was one thing that my dad really contributed to, was my love for horses and making sure that I went to all my lessons, and he's the one who actually took me to all my horse shows as well.
Do you still own some horses? Or?
I do not. So I had to sell my horse when I went up to Mizzou back in 2005. It was heartbreaking. And I miss him every day. I don't know that I'll ever see him again. I hope so. But yeah, I would show horses all around Missouri as a teenager, and I really enjoyed it. And coincidentally, the horse that I bought, Piggy, I showed him eventually, but the horse that I was showing all over Missouri was Shanna, which was Piggy's grandma.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of cute, yeah. So I was able to show Shanna quite a bit around Missouri, and we won a lot of ribbons. So it was fun. We did Fredericktown, we were in Columbia, Missouri, Sedalia, Wentzville was another one. So we were just kind of all over St. Louis and surrounding areas. For years we did that. It was a lot of fun.
As you know, I'm an Italian transplant, so I still yet have to discover and explore all these parts of Missouri. I can't wait.
Yes.
But so your background is as far as religious communities, Christian, Catholic. Okay.
So I technically grew up Catholic. I went to a Catholic private school in kindergarten, and I went to St. Joseph's School in Farmington. Around second grade, we actually switched to a Baptist church. So I kind of grew up Baptist for quite a while, and that's what kind of I resonated with. And then as an adult, I dabbled in a couple of Methodist churches and things like that. And Paul actually grew up Pentecostal, and we just kind of have gravitated towards more of a non-denominational church as adults and as we've been married. So we go to a lot of non-denominational churches. We do visit with my mother-in-law, Paul's mom, Brenda. We will visit Bethel and Arnold some Sundays with her. So it's they're great people, just very welcoming and amazing. So we do visit them sometimes too. But we spent years traveling, and I was singing and he was playing guitar at the local churches down south where we're from, and so that was fun. We would do ladies' luncheons and different kinds of revivals and things where we would travel around, and it was like our mission. So
I have an interesting question for you. So you said you switched at a certain point in your life to a non-denominational church. Was that choice dictated by a need, or not a need, but a wish for an environment that was more unconditional, loving and welcoming, and inspiring freedom for all?
Maybe it was. I think for us we just wanted that freedom, and I think that I think at the end of the day, if you love Jesus, you love Jesus, and religion is man-made, and so I like non-denominational because everybody is there, and it doesn't matter your background, whether you have a background in Catholicism or being a Baptist or Pentecostal or whatever.
Right.
So I think I resonate with non-denominational because of the love for Jesus and backgrounds. Everybody's different. So
yes.
I think just that welcoming atmosphere.
Good. Awesome. Well, were there any early mentors or teachers who really influenced your direction in life?
For me, one of my favorite teachers was my 5th grade teacher, and so I was born in Farmington. My Nana got sick with breast cancer around 4th grade, so we moved to Virginia where my mom's side lives. And I went to 5th grade in Virginia, and my teacher's name was Mr. Thomas. He was former military, and so he would make us march, and we would say yes sir, no sir all the time. And but he was one of my favorite teachers because he was so loving towards us, and he took great care of us. And there were tons of times where I would be upset if I didn't do my homework or I forgot to do something. And there was one time I went up to him, I said, Mr. Thomas, I forgot to do XYZ or whatever. And he looks at me and he was like, well, off with your head, just being silly. And made me feel better because I was really worried about that. And that he was just very sweet. Like one day we went and we were marching and just kind of walking around the schoolyard, and it started to rain and it started to thunder, and we didn't have any knowledge of this, that the thunderstorms are coming. But he taught us how to count between the lightning and the thunder to see how many miles it was away. So that was it's experiential learning in teacher terms, kind of learning in the environment and learning, through experience. And I love that. And I had glasses on in 5th grade, and I remember him wiping my glasses because there was mud on it. So he was very loving towards us. And even though he was strict, I still felt that love from him, and it helped us with discipline too.
Is he still alive?
I'll be honest, I don't know. I remember when he turned 50. I was in 5th grade, so I was 11. I'm 41 today, so I hope he is.
All right. Well, big shout out if you get to hear it.
I hope he is. He was very sweet. I'll have to look him up sometime.
Sure. Speaking of teachers, we often mention Jesus the Christ, which was an enlightened teacher back at the time, 2,000 years ago, where most societies were dominated by fear, right?
Yeah.
If you did or said the wrong thing at the wrong time in front of the wrong people, you were to be executed or something.
Yeah.
So nowadays, I think that understanding the same teaching of Jesus the Christ, which is how to reach a level of unconditional love in a time in human history that is unprecedented. We have the whole world available of a fingertip, right? We have AI, we have digital tools, we have. So it's a really interesting time to be alive.
I agree. I agree with that.
So education, you originally planned to become a veterinarian, probably for your love of horses, right?
Yeah.
What made you choose that path as a child?
I wanted to be a veterinarian since I was 7 years old, and I do think it really stemmed from my love of horses and dogs. Obviously, we have 3 dogs who we love dearly, and it got to the point where I was wanting to be a vet. Got my associates at Mac and Park Hills, and then I was planning to go up to Mizzou, which I did. When I went to the local the vet clinic in Farmington, I was getting my observation hours and things like that. And a turning point for me was when the local vet, Dr. Andre Oberly, he ended up pulling a tooth out of a dog's mouth one morning. I hadn't eaten breakfast, and so I think I turned white as a ghost, and he looks at me, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not okay." I thought I was going to throw up. So that was kind of a turning point for me, because when he pulled the tooth out, there was blood all over the place. It was horrible.
No anesthesia?
I think the dog was asleep. The dog was under, so he was asleep, so he was fine.
Dog would have fought you every
he would have fought for sure, but he was fine. He was asleep, but that was a turning point for me. So he gave me a Mountain Dew, and I drank. I felt better with my blood sugar, but I think for me that was a turning point. I can't do blood. I get very nauseous and upset.
It's funny, her mom's an RN.
And my mom, coincidentally, is a hospice RN, and then he went through EMT training and firefighter training. So they make fun of me.
Cool.
They make fun of me about it because I can't do blood, but they're fine with it. So, and then I thought, well, I cannot put a dog down either. So it was just this whole thing of a turning point. So I went up to Mizzou for a bit, did some classes, and then after that decided to take a break. So I took about a year off, and then after that really decided on teaching.
Good, yeah. I know it takes a lot of guts to go deep into the medical field, any medical field.
Yes.
When I was in Colorado, for a period of time, I was in charge of the food processing for raptor birds. So I was processing mice, rats, and prairie dogs, and what else? Rabbit, to feed the birds of prey.
Oh,
so
sure,
I remember that was my
sure.
task, to chop up mice, and
Oh my
so
gosh.
you really need to have a predisposition.
Strong stomach and
Yes. You do
No.
have to have a strong stomach for that.
Best definitely not have to worry about like animals getting to you with being put out.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And but it was a great experience, understanding how the wildlife actually keeps going, and
Circle of life.
Yes.
yeah, it's less Disneyland, I would say.
Yes.
So I was going to say, what ultimately led you to shift your focus from veterinary science to education, right? You wanted to switch to become a teacher.
Yeah. So years ago, my brother Trent was in high school, and we're from an hour south of St. Louis, and so that's around the Farmington area and things like that. So he was going to high school years ago, a bit north of Farmington, and he got bullied pretty severely, and so he was diagnosed with autism. He got bullied severely for a while, and my mom was in touch with the school principal and with the staff, and she got really no support for that, which is unfortunate. Yeah, it was a tough time for Trent and for us too, because it was very upsetting. So mom decided to pull him out of school, and we homeschooled him until he received his GED at the age of 17.
Oh, okay.
So
Which is an option available for everybody, right?
it is, yes. Yeah, and there's a lot of curriculum out there for homeschooling and things like that you can use. DESE is a big support system as well, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So that's who actually, they're the ones who certifies us as teachers, so the Missouri DESE.
Good.
And so we did that, and it's what really inspired me to add special education to my certification. So I not only got my master's in teaching from MOBAT, but I also added not just elementary certification, but special ed as well. So
that sounds very impressive.
Yes.
So, and what inspired your passion for working in education, supporting students? Right, you mentioned one case, but so how, for example, how has your brother's story, your family experience with autism guided your approach to teaching and eventually advocacy?
Yeah, I think in addition to Trent inspiring me to kind of add the special education component was, there was a lot of things in Farmington going on with the school system and different things like that. I think also when people grow up in a less affluent neighborhood, I think it just kind of instills a lot of need to help other people, and that's kind of where my head was at growing up. I just wanted to be a part of the solution for people, and I wanted to help them be the best version of themselves that they could be.
Have you ever worked for a school district yourself?
Yes.
You did, okay.
Yeah. So I used to teach at Melville School District here up in St. Louis, and I did that right before I worked at Assistance Home Care as a recruiting supervisor, and then we bought the business after that with Tutor Doctor. And so Melville School District, I've subbed for a lot of schools down in Farmington and also in the St. Louis area. I've subbed for special school districts, things like that. And so I think just, and I have worked also for a couple of state schools as well, in Potosi and Park Hills. And one school, they had a bit higher functioning students in their school, and then the other state school, they were a bit more lower functioning where they were nonverbal. And so a lot of skills were needed to support them in the special education world. And, I think just being a part of that solution and, also knowing that, you can't take care of the Bloom stuff until you take care of the Maslow stuff, which is like Bloom's taxonomy is part of the educational concept in the world of teaching. And so, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like you need to really take care of the needs first, right? Before you could do the education part. And so you can't take care of the Bloom stuff before you do the, the Maslow stuff. So there's a meme out there on Facebook floating around that says that, and I'm like, that is so true. Most people, or I should say most students, in the Farmington area and a lot of St. Louis as well, most students, they are food insecure, and so that's a passion of mine too, and that's something that I realized when I was going through my student teaching in 2013. So,
so interesting.
Yeah.
My experience with teachers here in St. Louis is participating to the Teacher Appreciation Weeks. Yeah. So I go in with my chair and I massage 140 teachers this year in May. With back, neck, and shoulders.
Yes.
It was a great experience.
I'm sure they appreciated it. They probably needed it.
Yes.
God bless them.
And as we move forward, I want to hear more about your, stepping into our entrepreneurship. Because one thing is to work for an employer, where you essentially have to follow the rules and protocols, and just switching to a solo practice, where now everything is under your reign. You're the captain of your ship, right? So I want to hear your experience about that, but let's see. What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned from your students?
Yeah, I think number one, and I know I kind of touched on this a while ago, but I've just got to repeat it. The biggest thing for me that I learned about when people get into teaching, I think a lot of times they're like, okay, I'm just going to teach the curriculum and then go home.
Right.
Something that I realized during my student teaching, it was early 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I did my student teaching with Julie, who was my Aunt Tammy's best friend since they were younger. Julie worked at Jefferson School in Farmington, Jefferson Elementary, and I did my student teaching with her first graders in January 2013. And she looked at me one day, and I just had a blast, by the way. It was like the time of my life. I did it for 2 months. And she looked at me one day and she goes, Sarah, most of these students don't eat at home. And it just completely changed my life. It completely changed my life. And I think, again, going back to, you can't teach a hungry child, you can't teach a tired child. They could have been up all night with their parents fighting and they didn't get any sleep.
Right.
Or they didn't have food in the house, so they didn't eat breakfast, so I can't teach them math, And something else that really resonated with me changed my life, was, at a bunch of these state schools that I worked at, we noticed that there were a couple, probably a few students who were neglected. We were very suspicious on, or suspecting them to be neglected and in their family life. And there were a couple of times, there were two, couple kiddos, they were 13 years old with Down syndrome, and we just simply gave them a shower at school because frankly they were unclean, and we're like, they need to be taken care of first before we could teach them anything.
Totally.
So we did.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So
in my experience as a yoga instructor, as I teach yoga, and I've also taught movement therapy for the manual therapist and nutrition and exercise for massage therapist back in Colorado when I was the director of the professional clinic. And so I remember I often say that in order to be creative and in order to retain information in your study, you cannot be in fight or flight.
yes.
You have to be in a state that it's that you are feeling secure, you're feeling safe.
Yeah.
Safety is
Yeah.
number one.
Exactly.
And so there are certain essentials that must be provided. Shelter, food, like you said, hygiene practices.
Yeah.
Those are the very bare essentials. So
It's your nervous system.
Right.
Right. Like your nervous system isn't designed to be in fight or flight all the time.
Right.
And
Correct.
I feel like some of these, abused students were, so yeah, I understand
Because you
completely.
can go easily into exhaustion and you just fail to thrive.
That's very
as a student.
sad. Yeah.
So, I'm glad that we're raising awareness of these issues today together, so maybe we can create a better community, better future for all of us. Let's see. So how do you approach helping students who have lost confidence in themselves? In your personal experience.
I think for me, there's been a lot of younger kiddos that were very impressionable and very vulnerable and things of that nature, like even when they're older, like even high school students that I've worked with and I've tutored along the way. I've tutored adults as well. And so I think that a lot of times you look at an adult and you see, oh, little Sarah, you know what I mean? Because we all have like a child inside of us, and so I think that a part of that is just kind of speaking to the inner child and telling them that they're safe with me, and you can ask me anything. If you need anything, let me know. I've brought food into my classrooms. I've brought coats into my classrooms. We gave our students showers, at the state school because they were unclean, and just taking care of them.
They will remember your presence.
They will, and so I think just letting them know that, like, hey, we're a safe space. Being very positive and uplifting with them, because they could go home to abuse. So this could be the only love that they see during the day. So I think just showing them that we're a safe space for them to rest.
Good.
And to be a part of this classroom. So
wonderful. I'm sure you did great. I think every act of love is never forgotten.
Yeah.
Nothing is lost.
Exactly.
And also I believe that one of the best gifts to give to students is the sense of self-esteem, self-confidence, perseverance, and discipline So giving them some structure and giving them some ideas about self-respect and belief in themselves.
I think so too.
So I try to not only embody that and remind myself, but I try to, like we said over email, and enjoy every day as a gift, as a blessing for a new day of life. Now let's talk about the road to entrepreneurship, because that's one of my passions. That's one of the things I wanted to develop in the last few years. I've worked for several spas and wellness centers, always working for somebody else, always working for the man, as you say, right? And now we can take advantage of tools that were not available before. You can create your Google contacts, you can reach out immediately to a much broader audience without asking permission. You just have to do it in a way that is legal, of course, but also creative. So now, being your own entrepreneur, you're starting a business. You're free to use up all of the God-given talents. So, what inspired you and Paul to purchase a Tutor Doctor franchise?
Yeah, I think that, for me, and Paul can talk on this too, for me, it's kind of a funny story, but the way that it happened was I left my previous position as a recruiting supervisor working for Assistance Home Care. And I was in interviews and interviewing at local places. And I was in a director of education interview for a local tutoring company, and it wasn't going to work out for me because of the commute. We live in South County. This was like about 40 minutes away, and I thought, golly, I'm so sad about this. I fell in love with the director. I fell in love with the owner. I thought, this is like my dream job. This would be great. And I don't know why the director told me this, but she goes, the owner has this empty building she's not using, and she's paying $2,000 a month in rent. And it was like a light bulb moment for me, and I thought, I could totally do this. I could do this. So I went home and I just simply Googled a tutoring franchise, and like Tutor Doctor popped up, a bunch of other franchises popped up, and I did a lot of research. I fell in love with Tutor Doctor because of the in-home tutoring, the individualized instruction. We could do all ages, all subjects, and I really loved that. And I loved that it wasn't a cookie cutter, one size fits all. Like, we did individual education plans for our families and things of that nature. And so, for me, I knew that there was a huge need in this local community, and that's what inspired me to be a part of this solution.
Good. And
anything
Paul,
anything for you?
Besides, I was going to ask you, Paul, do you have any educational teaching experience before you purchased that?
And me personally, no, I don't.
Okay.
I never taught anything. You wouldn't want me to be a teacher. I don't quite have the patience this lady has.
Right.
So,
it takes a lot of patience.
It does. But just there being the support system for her, I just knowing her background with the education field, knowing that she has a passion, has the drive, and knowing that she can do it.
Yes.
Knowing that it wouldn't be, when she came home and told me about the situation, about Tutor Doctor with what they're, what they do, and then she told me about her wanting to do this, I'm like, absolutely, yeah, that's great, we can do this.
Yeah.
That's,
awesome.
I backed her 110% on that.
Yeah, he never doubted. He never told me no, which I was a little suspicious about. It's like,
well, of course, out of love for his wife, number one.
Yeah, you better say yes.
But I was going to say, when you feel you have calling, you feel there's an inner voice that tells you, if there's only one thing I could do, and I know I cannot fail, what would that be? And in your case, could be tutoring, education, just being a service in that way. So find ways to serve the many. And that's the ultimate formula for success, right?
Yeah.
So I know I could be useless in so many fields. You put me to fix a toilet or be a handyman, I'll be completely useless. Or people think, oh, you're Italian, you must be a good cook. I'm not. I suck. So I can essentially demolish all the stereotypes.
I'm not a great cook either, so I understand. Paul's a better cook than me, so.
Or another Italian stereotype is typical, tied to mafia or criminal associations. And I mock it by saying, I'm going to give you a massage you can't refuse. Right? So, But yeah, so let's talk about, can you share what you love most about working directly with families, right?
Yeah, with Tutor Doctor.
And by the way, excuse me 1 second, just wanted to add to that.
Yes.
Being a franchise and essentially being a service that is not accessible to, just like any child can sign up for the public school, is something optional, is something you essentially have to promote and sell, right?
Yeah.
So you have to also be a good salesman. Tell me about that.
Yeah, and I think for me, I know that I'm not a salesman by nature.
Yeah.
I know that about myself. It's one of my biggest areas of opportunity. For Tutor Doctor, we went through extensive sales training just for that purpose, not to push sales on people, but to know how to promote our services. And so I think for me, the services of Tutor Doctor, frankly, it sold itself, and I was really appreciative of that. Because I don't like sales. So for me, when I did the consultations with families, I came from a very like a helping kind of approach, and I'm here to help support you kind of thing. And I know the families appreciated that. They appreciated I wasn't pushy.
Right.
They appreciated that I was there as an educator. I was there as not just a teacher, but let me educate you about our services and tell you how I can fix your problems. And so that's what I think the community really appreciated.
Yes.
And again, the services sold themselves, so I was never pushing services, which I really loved about Tutor Doctor. And so whenever I was in these consultations, these families would just open up to me, and people would be shocked at some of the things that these families would tell me. And a lot of times it would break my heart. I've supported a lot of well-known families in the St. Louis area, and some of these well-known families were going through some pretty difficult times during the times when they were talking to me. One lady was married to a very well-known figure in St. Louis, and she was going through a divorce from him.
I know. Devastating processes.
It was very devastating, and so there were times where I worked with families on price as well, because for me, it's not about the money for me. It was about helping families and helping get them the services, no matter what. I mean, as much as I could help. So
there is a subtle difference that I see in the marketplace when it comes to salesmanship, because I believe that customers in general have their own BS detector.
Yes,
and everybody is able to recognize whether you're trying to push your sale and to make the transaction, rather than wanting to essentially grow and contribute beyond yourself alone. So you're coming from a genuine place of wanting to contribute. But yes, so salesmanship can be misperceived as a form of persuasion or even manipulation. Hey, look at me, I'm the best in town, you must pick me because I'm the only one that can satisfy your needs, only to find out it's just coming from a place of ego. There is people can perceive the difference between wanting to act from a place of ego or from a place of wanting to create a sense of village, a sense of community, a sense of we are here all in one, a more communitarian style of salesmanship. So
I agree with that, and piggybacking off of that, I have to tell you about this story that this adult called me one day, and she was like in her 50s, so she was, but she called me and she goes, I need services, Sarah, I can't read, and she was in her 50s, and I said, oh my gosh, of course I'm here to help you, and I was asking her questions about herself and where she was in her reading level and math level or whatever she needed, but she wasn't able to read, and she goes, Sarah, thank you so much. She goes, you were the third place that I called, and you were the only one who wasn't snotty towards me.
Wonderful.
And
that made your day, right?
Yeah, and it was like, oh my gosh, like what world are we living in that other franchises or other tutoring companies are snotty towards an adult calling them who can't read, like, oh my gosh, what world are we living in, friends? So I thought, oh my gosh. So we took care of it, but it was it's very eye-opening. You know,
you can tell that a good testimonial may be more rewarding than a financial transaction, isn't it?
Yep, it is. We had, when we sold the business, we had about 58 5-star Google reviews, and we had parents writing us notes about Luke can read now. He used to be 2 grade levels behind, and things like that. We have it on our fridge still, and I have Girl Scout cookies. One of the kiddos that I bought Girl Scout cookies from, one of our students, she drew me a picture, so it's on my fridge. So that warms my heart more than any sales does.
Good.
Yeah.
And I often say, and I've said it in my previous recordings, that in the marketplace, people buy people before they buy their products or services.
Yeah,
We're
I
interested
agree.
in who are you actually dealing with, the human component,
Yeah.
the one-on-one component. That's what people value the
It's
most.
got to be individualized too.
Yeah, and in my practice, it's of paramount importance, establishing rapport, establishing loyalty and trust.
And trust, exactly, I agree.
So, now, how did you balance business management with maintaining that personal connection to your clients?
I think it was difficult for me to call a family and say, for example, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, your payment didn't go through. Do you have any alternative form of payment for us to do this next, payment for your services? So I think putting on that business hat, I was able to successfully do that because I had built that trust and rapport with my families, and we were cool with each other like that. It was difficult though because it was a tough conversation to have. Or if I had to say in a consultation, they're like, well, I only want I only want tutoring once a week, and they're like 2 grade levels behind. It was difficult for me to kind of bring them down to earth and be like, hey, I'll be honest with you, I don't feel comfortable bringing you guys on board with me because I don't think once a week is going to be enough to see an improvement on Johnny's math and English skills. I wouldn't go less than 3 times a week or what have you. And I think a lot of times they would be like, oh, you know what, you're right, So I think just building that rapport and building that trust with the families really allowed me to have those business conversations too.
Did you have people to delegate the process, the tasks? I mean, did you have partners in business other than your husband?
Yeah, there were times at night where I would have a 12 to 14 hour day, and I was completely exhausted and just it's like it did come to a point where I thought to myself, I'm giving myself to all these people throughout the day, and I enjoyed it and I was happy to do it, but then at the end of the night I felt like I didn't have anything left to give him, like as far as time goes. So sometimes I would delegate things to Paul. At the end of the night, I would be like, oh, will you please run this background check? Or, oh, hey, will you send this DocuSign to this family for payment? And then the last year that we were in business, I did end up hiring a tutor and client coordinator, Marissa, and she was amazing, and she was like my right-hand gal.
Good.
And I just had to text her to ask her to do something, and she did it. She actually was a big reason why I was so organized as well, and
Wonderful.
so creating those Excel spreadsheets and having Google Forms on hand and things like that really helped me too. So
I need personally a woman assistant in my life because I also, I'm a tutor of the Italian language. I do tutoring, interpreting, and translations. And I keep telling my students that just like you said, 1 hour a week is not going to do the job of
it's not
learning the language, learning a new skill, a language is an acquired skill. So you need to...
You need at least twice a week.
Yes.
I mean, really 3 times. If you're really behind or if you need a lot of work, I feel like three
Some
times
people
a week
can pick up on stuff pretty quickly.
Right.
You know, I'm sure the same thing with teaching, you know, second language, that some people are really quick about
Have a predisposition, yes.
yeah,
Sure.
but then most people learning a second language when they, you know, are trying it for the first time, I imagine is a little bit more difficult
Yeah.
for just one day a week, you know, having
Totally.
that.
It's
you
not
know,
consistent enough.
Yeah.
Totally.
We need consistency and longevity when it comes to learning new skills, and that's something I told the families. You know, consistency and longevity.
You know, when I hear my funny metaphor that I use for new students that want to begin learning Italian, I compare them to an Italian fried cutlet or a chicken cutlet. So you first have the first raw chicken breast, right?
Yeah.
And that's you being a beginner. Then in
Yeah.
order to make it into a full, crispy, fried chicken cutlet, you have to add the layers on top. You add the layer of flour, and you pass it into the egg yolk, and then you bread it, and then finally you fry it.
Yeah.
But there are certain processes that need to be practiced. You know, practice makes perfect, right? Repetition
does.
is the mother of skill. And so learning, the process of learning requires neuroplasticity, number one. You can learn a new language even in advanced age. Also, I equate I make the metaphor of walking a virgin field of snow. So when you are in front of you, you have a beautiful white field of snow. You walk for the first time and make your first footprints.
Yes.
And that's your first exposure to new language or to new materials that in the moment are foreign to you. But as you keep walking onto your footprints, every time you return to the same field of snow, you get to recoat the wiring of the neural connections that you created the first time that you heard a word like ciao, buongiorno, buonasera, mamma mia,
Yeah.
right? So you don't get to learn just the stereotypes, but you get to learn all the technical stuff, you know, the conjugation of verbs and the grammatical rules. But in a fun way. I try to use this technique called inspired by a Latin motto, which is ludendo docere, to teach with fun. So my classes are always interspersed with a lot of humor. So now, you also said, let's talk about your leadership, some recognitions and achievements. So I heard you sat on a panel in Canada to help train other franchise owners. What insight did you share with them?
Yes. So
Why Canada?
Yes. So we went to different locations for our annual DBA conference for Tutor Doctor. Canada, Toronto, Ontario, Canada is the corporate headquarters for Tutor Doctor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's where they were initially founded. And so it was December 2020. Was it 2023 or 2024? Might have been 2024. Let me think
Last
about
year.
it. Yeah, last year. But yes, I was asked to sit on a panel there was probably 5 of us franchise owners. We sat on the panel in Canada, and we were able to take questions, answer questions from the newer franchise owners, and it was awesome to be able to share our insight and what has made us successful as franchise owners here. And what hasn't worked, you know. So we were very open and honest and forthcoming with, you know, our business, and each of our businesses are different, and our markets are different.
Right.
So
Serving different people.
exactly.
Different demographics.
Exactly. So we talked a lot on, you know, what marketing techniques were working for us, and you know, networking techniques and things like that. And, you know, making sure to get into the Kiwanis Club, making sure to get yourselves into chambers of commerce so you can do some networking successfully. And so we even talked about, you know, putting out lawn signs, and, you know, the fact that, you know, a lot of these magazines and newspapers do not work for leads, for getting us leads. And so things like that we talked about. And then previously, we were also nominated for a couple of awards with Tutor Doctor, which was so amazing, and I was very, very honored and thrilled with that. So we were initially nominated to be a Rookie of the Year award, as well as a Community Crusader award, which was kind of a fancy way of saying like a networking guru kind of person. Because I've always thought that my superpower is empathy and connecting with others.
Yes.
And so that was a huge honor to be nominated for those two awards as well. Yeah, it was awesome.
You know, I believe that number one, you must have some great communication skills. Like I can tell, because I saw you, walking on the stage and speaking in front of many people without shame, right? Having those public speaking abilities is something that you either born with or you work on.
Yeah.
Until you get the spotlight on you enough times that you transcend the fear or the illusion of fear of being rejected or not being good enough, right?
It's definitely a skill that I've honed and I have improved on.
Yeah.
If you would believe this, I actually took public speaking when I was a freshman in college, and I got a B in it. Yeah,
oh, good.
I got a B in the class. I did not get an A, I got a B. So I was not great at public speaking. It's a skill that I've improved upon throughout the last few years. But yeah, so, and I think being, at the podium several times with Kiwanis Club and Southwest Area Chamber of Commerce, and then presenting on the global team calls, for Tutor Doctor, over a dozen times, has just really improved the skills of, public speaking, so.
But definitely, the communication skills are
Yes.
paramount, are
Yeah.
very much important.
I've always been a good communicator
Yes,
since
I
I was
can tell.
younger. Yeah, yeah.
They say that the words are mightier than the sword, right? There's so much goodness that can
True.
be made. There's also some destruction that you can make with words. If you say the inappropriate words,
Yeah.
one bad word can wound somebody emotionally for a long time. I've heard of unfortunate situations where families would not talk to each other because of words that had been said 30 years ago and still holding grudges, right?
Yep.
But it's good to use words in a life constructive way. And I think that, going next into your next questions are about your community engagement and service, right? So you've had a long history of community involvement through the Kiwanis, right? Kiwanis Club.
Yep.
How did you first get involved?
Yeah, so I actually got involved with Kiwanis Club from Nancy Benson, who was one of our members with Kiwanis Club. She's also a member of Southwest Area Chamber of Commerce, so I'm on the board of both. And Nancy approached me a few years ago, about 4 years ago, when we initially launched Tutor Doctor. So we've been in both for 4 years now. And Nancy comes up to me and she goes, we were leaving a chamber luncheon, and she goes, "Sarah, I think you would be a really great fit for our Kiwanis Club." And I was like, "Well, what is it, And, she talked about how we're a group of volunteers. It's kind of like a children's charity. So we're a group of volunteers that fundraise and raise money for our nonprofits throughout the years to help the children. And so, we do a lot of like music trivia, golf tournaments. Early December, we are at Barnes & Noble and we do a book fair to raise money for the Little Free Library. So there's a wide variety of things. Like right now, I'm helping them with the coat drive.
Interesting.
So I'm picking up from Sappington Elementary the coats and the bin and things like that. So if anybody wants to help with that, let me know.
Okay.
And so, just buying coats for the coat drive too, that's something that we've done as well. So anything to kind of be involved in that.
Sure.
And then I was president of Kiwanis Club from September 2023 to September 2024.
So you needed to be elected president, right? I'm sure they picked you for your good heart, number one.
Yes, I think so.
Your strong communication skills, but also I believe it's for your beautiful blue eyes, like the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, you guys cannot, any video or picture could not give justice to being in the presence of.
Thank you.
Bellissimo.
But that's how I got into Kiwanis Club. Yeah. So it's been a blessing. Everybody in the club, like you can tell that we're all big helpers. It's all about the children. That's our motto. You know, it's all about the children. And I think just taking one day at a time to improve the lives of the children, to help these nonprofits support the children, like goes a long way every year that we do it. So
Wonderful.
It's great.
That's a great cause.
Yeah.
So, how do you keep your passion for service alive when life gets busy? It seems like in America, with me being a transplant from Italy, when the perception of time is much slower.
Yeah.
Here, everything is linear. Everything is time is limited, never abundant. You're always on the clock. So, what keeps your passion for service alive?
Yeah, I think for me, I just think about helping people, and that's what really drove me to get up every day and push myself with the business. With Tutor Doctor, I was working about 70, 80 hours a week. I was exhausted at the end of the day, but my heart was full, and so that was kind of my motto every day. Like, I'm exhausted, but my heart is full.
And I don't want to have an early heart attack, probably.
Exactly,
right?
yes. And so that's something like Paul would get on to me at the end of the night, and I would be like, Paul, I didn't get this done or this done. He's like, Sarah. He's like, but you got this done, this done, this done, this done. You know, so he would get on to me about it, and he was like, you need to stop. Like rest and you know, watch your show, and he would cook me dinner and do all these things.
Sweet.
So I think just, you know, centering myself at the end of the day and just remembering about how far we've come, giving myself grace, and making time for your passions, I think, is hugely important in business. Not allowing your passions to go by the wayside just because you're busy. You have to make time for it.
Good.
So, yeah.
I have a message from one of my contemporary spiritual mentors, Dr. Hawkins, Dr. David R. Hawkins, author of Power versus Force and Letting Go, the Pathway of Surrender. He says in a nutshell that everything arises spontaneously out of by virtue of divine grace. So when we remove the ego out of the way, when we put the ego out of the way, you see that everything unfolds spontaneously the way that it's supposed to be, as potentiality becoming an actuality, right? So that's one way to kind of let go of all the to-do lists, because everything unfolds spontaneously, just like a flower blooms on its own. So, and just like, you know, I got to know you and Paul, and I got to know in just 3 years that I moved here from Colorado, I got to know some very, very beautiful people. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, there are some good people in St. Louis.
Yes, totally. If you approach people with the right attitude, because it's all a matter of attitude, right?
Yeah.
And being willing to place yourself in a position of service rather than just taking from people.
Yeah.
Then people will welcome you everywhere you go. Right?
I agree.
So, in fact, you've also been deeply involved with the Southwest Chamber of Commerce. So, tell me, how did that journey begin?
Yeah. So I'll be honest. So when we launched our Tutor Doctor franchise, I was told by corporate, by Tutor Doctor, to get into a Chamber of Commerce, get into 2 or 3, whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yes.
So I actually just Googled
Is that the closest to you?
It is.
Okay.
I literally Googled Chamber of Commerce near me, and they were ones that popped up. And we do have about 360 members in Southwest Area Chamber currently. It's a huge chamber. It's very business oriented as well, and so we have a lot of very well known businesses, big businesses, small businesses, everything in between. They're very welcoming, sweet people.
And I'm sure each member is in and of himself or herself is a constellation of new avenues and, you know, people they know.
Networking is off the charts. And I feel like I know most of them in the chamber. So I became a member about 4 years ago, along with Kiwanis Club, but with Southwest Area Chamber, I mean, they've been great. So I have the opportunity, with Tutor Doctor to sponsor a lot of our students at our local schools. So I would get up there and I would present their sponsorships to these students. There would typically be about 3 or 4 at a time that I would do. Present them their sponsorships, get pictures with them, meet a lot of principals and counselors. So a lot of times the counselors were our referral partners as well. So that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We were honored enough to receive the Chamber Business of the Year award this past year, 2025. So that was so amazing. I was very honored and blessed to have received that, and we were very honored about that. So that was another thing. I do sit on the board of Southwest Area Chamber and Kiwanis Club as well.
So did the chamber actually generated real business growth for you?
Yes. So Southwest Area Chamber, I probably got about 11 enrollments from them throughout the last 4 years. So they have been a huge part of my growth with Tutor Doctor throughout the last 4 years. I have created a wide variety of friendships, business relationships as well. I still have people reaching out to me. So now that Dr. Kevin maybe owns our franchise, I'm sending him the business now, and so it's
big shout out to Dr. Kevin.
Yes, Dr. Kevin.
So how do you see chambers helping shape community resilience today? Because now we're still coming out of a 3-year-long pandemic, which has had a huge impact on many businesses. Some are still paying the consequences, or still have some debt to pay. So I think the word resilience is applicable to our lifestyles and our mindsets. So tell me about resilience for you.
I think, we had a great deal of resilience with Tutor Doctor when we launched and got into the chamber and Kiwanis Club, and I think there were a lot of small businesses that went under during the pandemic, but there were a lot of small businesses that persevered. For us with Tutor Doctor, I felt like we kind of launched at the right time. It was June 2021, and so was it July 2021?
No,
it was June, wasn't it? It's too early in the morning for me. So it was June 2021, and so with us just coming out of that pandemic, people wanted that in-home tutoring, right? So they were looking for that. They were tired of the virtual and things like that.
The schools were really struggling to support all the students that were behind, because it wasn't obviously like your typical school year because of the pandemic. So many more students than normal were behind that we were basically like, parents were flocking to us and like, we need help the school can't support us with, because there's not enough. There's not enough people in the school to help with that, and understandably so. So we're kind of helped us help the families in need.
And with the chamber, they were a big support system of us as well. So like I said, we were able to present the sponsorships to these students, and then that really got me in with these principals and the counselors and people like that. So I felt like that was a big resilience part of our ownership, and then just bouncing ideas off of the local businesses in the chamber. We all supported one another. We were all referring each other business. If I needed like a handyman service, or if I needed somebody in XYZ industry, I knew, being on the board, I thought, okay, well, that's this business or that's this business. People actually, my friends come to me and they're like, hey, do you know anybody in this industry? I need a roofer, or I need somebody in for taxes. And I actually, off the top of my head, I can pretty much know anybody in the chamber.
There's also, I visited several BNI chapters. International. There's also ICAG. Big shout out to Deanna Lay. ICAG stands for I Know a Guy or a Gal. You know them, right?
Yes. I'm part of their Facebook page. And actually, I get their newsletter too in my email.
Yes.
I want to try to make one of their events. I think they've got events.
There's a free event every third Friday at Llewellyn's Pub in Webster Groves.
Okay.
11:30 a.m.
I really want to make one sometime. Make an event.
Speaking about resilience, I highly recommend. There's one song that you can search on YouTube. It's called "Resilient" by Rising Appalachia, and he says, "I show up to the table again and again and again." Right? No matter what's going on out there, you keep showing up. It's like yogis keep showing up on the mat, right? I'll be teaching Power Vinyasa Flow tonight at 7 p.m. And no matter how tired I am, I will show up. And tomorrow morning, I'll teach the 7:30 a.m. class, Rise and Shine Yoga, Blue Sky Yoga Studio.
Love that.
Bam. So, Let's see, you've been featured on Fox 2 News and Channel 4. That's so cool. How did they find you, and what was that experience like?
So it's kind of a funny story with Fox, or not Fox 2, but News Channel 4. News Channel 4 actually emailed me. I had just gotten done with my surgery, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this had to have been June 2024 or something, or it might have been January 20, where was it? My June 2024. It was one of my surgeries because I had one in January 2021 as well. But anyway, so I actually had to push off Channel 4. And when I did Channel 4, I was 3 weeks post-op. And so, but I felt fine enough to do it. But it was basically on the landslide of summer, and backslide of summer. Thank you. And just talking to these parents and saying, hey, we really need some consistency during the summer with tutoring, so that way we don't get in that landslide situation. We don't lose all of the learning that we just learned, after the school year. And so I think tutoring in the summer is hugely important because it's honing in on the skills that we just learned from the school year, but then in addition to that, it's giving you a leg up for August when you're getting back into the school year. So I talked about that. I talked about different ways that you can kind of improve those skills during the summer, like cooking, like you can measure and integrate math into your lessons and things like that, or carpentry, you can measure and use what is that called?
Tape measure.
Thank you, tape measure. He's the carpenter of the group here.
Cool.
So he is a handyman. You were talking about this guy is
Awesome.
He can fix anything.
Wow.
So we talked about that. So Channel 4, it was kind of funny. I had to push them off, and I pushed them off as much as I could because I was post-op for my surgery. So I was 3 weeks post-op when I did that, and that was through Tutor Doctor Corporate. They actually did that for me, and it was free.
Curiosity, were you interviewed by Tim Izell?
I was not. So here is the story about Fox 2 News, because I love Tim Izell. I love him. My tutor, Chelsea Haynes, she was one of our best math tutors that we had. You've been interviewed by Chelsea, and so she was one of our math tutors with Tutor Doctor. And when I hired her, I met her at a bread co, I think in Maryland Heights, and she was one of my first tutors. She actually worked for one of the Tennessee franchise owners previously, and she had just moved up to St. Louis. So we were texting one day, and she goes, Sarah, you need to advertise with us at Fox 2 News. And I said, I would love to. So I was really nervous for Channel 4 News because that was my very first time. But Fox 2 News, she was my tutor, and we were just talking and having a conversation. And I had a blast with her, and it was an easy conversation. I wasn't nervous for that. So it was fun. We talked about Tutor Doctor and just different things that we were discussing about.
Do you still have the interview? Like you can still watch it?
Yes, it's on my Facebook. Yes, nice. I'll have to reshare it sometime soon, but it's on there.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
You volunteered for 6 years at Helping Hands and Horses. Right. What first drew you to that organization? What is it, Helping Hands and Horses?
So Helping Hands and Horses, it's a horse therapy nonprofit. It's off of 55 Highway going south from South County. It's off the McNutt exit. So it's in Herculaneum technically, and it's behind that car dealership on the right-hand side. And shout out to Cowboy Bill. He's the one who owns the Helping Hands and Horses, and he created it to help those with disabilities. So we work with children and adults, and they also have a veterans program. They also have a Special Olympics as well that they work with. And so we've been volunteering with them for the last 6 years, and they're amazing. And so I'm a horse leader, so I lead the horse, and then I have 2 sidewalkers on either side of the person who's riding. And I mean, they say it's therapy for the person with disabilities, but it's really therapy for you too.
Yeah.
So
I bet. Just FYI, I was dating a lady from Boulder, Colorado. She owned 2 horses.
Yeah.
And remember how much, expensive they can be because you
They can be.
constantly feed them and
Yeah.
clean them and take care of
Yes.
them and the hoops and everything.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The vet is not cheap.
And the vet bills,
I
of
understand.
course. And Boulder itself, living in Boulder is already suspiciously expensive. But I remember how much horses were giving back to her, the love and the connection, almost like a nonverbal communication.
Yeah, it is.
She was massaging the jaws, and they were just like, it was almost like a human-to-human connection. So tell me about your connection to horses. Do you
Yeah.
talk to your horses? Do you?
Yeah, I always have talked to my horses, and my first horse was Cloudy. He was technically he was a salt pepper gray pony. I was 8 years old. My dad bought him for me for Christmas, and he was amazing. I put a lot of miles on that pony, and then my second horse, I named him General because my dad worked at a car dealership as a mechanic, and their wrecker was called the General. And I don't know why, I just wanted to name him General. It was very silly, but I was a teenager, and then I bought Piggy as a teenager, and I had known Piggy since he was born. I remember the day he was born, and I bought him when he was 2 years old. He was a purebred registered Arabian, and he was, the best thing in my life. And but I had to sell him whenever I went up to Mizzou, and so I miss him terribly. But I started jumping horses as well eventually when I became a teenager, and it's the most therapeutic thing that you'll ever do is ride horses, jumping them like you're flying. It's just very therapeutic,
Right.
and it
So
takes
how
you
do
to a
you-
great place.
In fact, I was going to ask you, so what role do animals, just like horses, play in emotional healing in your view, right?
Yeah,
So, like I said, you can literally, because horses are very sensitive, they can feel your feelings, right?
Yeah.
They can feel whether you're afraid, whether
Yeah.
you're happy, right? So, and I am unable to see it. I mean, I've tried to become, to make friends, but I never had that. Maybe because I was scared of being kicked. That
Yes.
was my fear.
Yes. Yes, I've definitely had some accidents in my day. I had a horse one time, I was going towards a jump, and he almost did a Christopher Reeve on me. So I understand completely the
Christopher
fear.
Reeve, the
Yeah,
Superman?
yes. So Christopher Reeve, the way that he became wheelchair bound and disabled was he actually went towards it. He was jumping, and the horse refused the jump, and he went over his ears.
Oh.
And I have had a horse do that to me
Oh my God.
before, and it was very scary. So when people tell me I'm really scared of horses, Sarah, I understand.
Because they can overpower you.
I
right?
understand,
The
yeah.
Dinosaurs.
I completely agree. I completely understand. Being, riding horses for over 30 years, I still understand when people say I'm scared of horses, Sarah. And I've had my horse fall on me before when I was riding General. It was very hot. I think he got overheated. We were trotting, his legs crossed, and we just went down. And he fell on me. And so my dad was like, I just watched it. He goes, there goes her leg. No, I was fine. I was fine. But I think that you can see into their soul
Yes.
with dogs and horses. And
Dogs totally.
Dogs, you
seem
can
to be more
totally-
manageable, but horses.
but I think there's a sense of therapy, therapeutic feelings with horses and dogs, and I can definitely see the way that they use dogs and horses for therapy for humans. I can see why, because my dogs are my therapy. My horses were my therapy. When you're riding a horse, that's all you can think about. You can think about how great it is and how you're taken from this world and you're not thinking about any of your problems anymore. You're just thinking about you're in a different world.
Right,
And so-
totally. Because
Definitely.
obviously the dogs and animals can only show up in their own version of authenticity. Obviously they don't have any transactional system other than giving and receiving love, right?
Yeah,
And instead humans have created another layers, many more layers of complexity, right? The marketplace,
Yeah.
the money part, and the laws and the rules and the governments,
Yeah.
etc.
exactly.
So they cannot understand any of that, right? That's beautiful. That's why my son is growing up so fast. But it's been a incredible journey watching him grow as the adult he's going to become. But just enjoying the pure, loving being that he is, without understanding the transactional and the cynical part of life as well.
Exactly. And for anybody who's interested in helping Hands and Horses, they also are on a 2-year wait list. So that's something else I wanted to shout out.
Yeah.
But having said that, one of my biggest dreams, and I've had these plans since 2011, is to open my own horse therapy place.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
I want it to be, kids and adults with disabilities, but also open a veterans program, and then take the extra families that are still waiting from Cowboy Bill and the staff at Helping Hands and Horses, and just take on those families for them. So there's no longer a 2-year wait list. We're planning to get our land in the next year or two, and this might be a retirement plan for me to do the horse therapy place, or I might do it sooner. Depends on how busy I am.
I'm sure you'll be busy. I'm sure
Yeah.
that more good things will come at you.
I think so too.
And as long as we can maintain a good state of health. I often say this is why I use yoga as my co-health insurance, right?
Yeah.
Yoga is my co-health insurance. Health is our first wealth. Without health, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, now we have your team member, your better half or your half, whatever you want to. Your sweetheart, Paul. So you and Paul seem to make a great team. How do you guys balance business, marriage, and share goals? You want to answer that?
You want to go?
Sure. Honestly, it's kind of like when we touched base earlier when she came to me and told me about the business. I knew she had the passion for it because of her teaching background. She had the education. She had the recruiting background with the recruiting job she had.
The skill set.
All the skill sets for it. The only thing that she didn't, like she said, that her area of opportunity was the sales side of it, which is my area. I'm in sales with my job, so I could really help kind of like fill in the blanks or fill in the spaces there.
Yeah.
And I told him, like, we can make a go of this. We can come together as a team and say, if I can take care of the areas that you can't, you can take care of the areas that I can't.
Wonderful.
We'll come together and just make a go of it.
Wonderful. That's awesome. I believe that's great to have a team that is also a wonderful partnership. It's not just the having a marriage license, but embodying that beautiful relationship in all areas of life. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and what have you learned from working alongside your spouse? You answered that.
I think, for me, a big lesson that I had in the business was just giving myself grace, but also making that time for each other. Because like I said before, I got into that vicious cycle of giving myself to all of these people, all of the families and all of the students, and I enjoyed doing it, and I loved it. But at the end of the night, I realized, like, I don't have anything left to give Paul at the end of the night, so I had to really create those healthy boundaries with the business. And I would typically put my business cell phone on the kitchen table at like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. and then I wouldn't look at it until the next morning when I woke up. And then and there were a lot of times where families would text me at 9-10 o'clock at night, and I would respond, and that was just me being me.
It was a learning journey.
And it was a learning, and Paul would get on to me about it, and he's like, Sarah. And the families were great. They were like, oh my God, Sarah, I thought that like you would just respond tomorrow. Like you didn't have to respond now. Like they were very sweet. So I think creating that work-life balance was a huge challenge for me initially. But then I learned how to do it. And at the end of the day, frankly, I told my tutors this too. They would come to me and they would be like, oh my gosh, Sarah, like my kiddo is sick. I have to cancel this family. And I would say, family comes first. Or they would say, Sarah, it's a blizzard. I can't go out to the Smith family tonight or whatever. And I would say, your well-being trumps the service tonight, and the family agreed with me. A lot of times the family would be like, yeah, let's just do a virtual session. So I think just creating the work-life balance for myself, but also for the tutors.
Right.
And me being like, hey, I don't want you to feel obligated to take this family and be overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your family comes first. Trump, it, you know, it does. It trumps, you know, your health comes first versus the service. And
It's wonderful to have that kind of flexibility.
yeah. So I think just work-life balance is huge.
So you guys each bring different strengths to the table, right?
We do.
And what's your favorite memory from the Tutor Doctor years together? After a specific episode or
I think just
anecdote?
for me, it was just looking at all of our 5-star Google reviews, and you know, we did have about 58 when our journey was done with Tutor Doctor, and just rereading them and remembering the consultation when I went into talked with the family. Their kiddo was like 2 or 3 grade levels behind, but when we got done with them, they were maybe ahead.
Making straight A's, going from failing to making straight A's within a school year.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, just seeing the success on the kids, but also seeing the excitement with the parents and the kids.
Yeah.
You know,
I would
just
get
feeling-
text messages all the time, and you know, it was so awesome.
You kind of touch base on it. So the monetary end of it is nice, but the filling of your cup is even more, you know,
Totally.
is even more, you know, rewarding.
Totally.
Yeah, like
You
it
know.
fills your cup, and
Because
it
ultimately,
makes
I
you know
believe
why.
what we are really after is a feeling. It's a feeling of empowerment, a feeling of making a difference. It's a feeling of empowering other people and to set some standards, set some high standards of, in other words, to set some modeling, and that reflects in all areas of life, you know, in parenting.
Yeah.
But let's talk about overcoming challenges. So, you know, setting your own business requires you to step into new levels of uncertainty, right? You're stepping into a dark zone. You don't know whether it's going to be successful or not. So, every entrepreneur faces tough seasons. So for you guys, what was the hardest part of running your business?
Yeah, I think for me, you don't know what you don't know
Like
in
that.
business. And again, you know, giving ourselves grace was a huge part of my business ownership. And I think there were unforeseen circumstances throughout our 4 years in business. And there were times where mistakes were made from, you know, like our marketing teams or something, and it created a lot less leads coming through, and you know, it had a lot to do with somebody taking our phone number off of my Google My Business, and so
Just learning to pivot.
for that. They fixed
What do you mean
it.
pivot? I'm sorry.
So basically, like if you get a curveball thrown at you,
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
then you learn to like overcome. It's like, okay, this
Overcome
is
challenges.
overcoming a challenge, basically.
And how to react appropriately.
So that way you can still move forward as opposed to, okay, this hit me, now I'm going to go backwards.
Yeah.
You know, you move forward still.
I think, you know, a lot of people, they see your successes, like they see you winning, you know, Chamber Business of the Year award, or they see you as a president of Kiwanis Club, and they see you do all these things and being successful, but they don't see us at our kitchen table, you know, talking about all the challenges that we're going through and thinking, oh my gosh, are we going to go out of business because of this? So there have been lots of dark times, I think, you know, through the 4 years. There were some, definitely, I think other challenges were, you know, I didn't realize how much managing the tutors, how much time that would entail. So the tutors were amazing, but there were so many of them. Sometimes it was challenging to just make sure they had their session reports in within a couple of days and things like that.
Grow as a business, you're getting more and more families, more and more tutors on your edge. So
So just making sure the
keeping up with
families were feeling good and supported, and they were, you know. So I think just regular everyday challenges of growth, like the growing pains is what we call those. And
Nice.
so.
When you said moving forward, I was reminded of Sylvester Stallone, Rocky. It doesn't matter how many times you get hit, it's about how you
how you take a hit and keep on moving.
It's
keep
true.
on moving forward.
Yeah.
It's true.
And also, you mentioned about, you know, learning what you don't know. right? Which, by the way, happens to be one of the stages of learning.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, you're learning something new. You want to start learning how to speak Italian, for example. Most people don't know what they don't yet know.
Yeah.
They don't yet know what they don't know.
Yeah,
Right? So
it's
I'm here to
true.
present stuff that is completely foreign to them. Even like, going out the house and going in and exploring different routes. I still don't know how many business and people are out there that could be potential clients or potential referral partners for
Yeah.
me and for the business here at Flex Time.
Sure.
So it's a very interesting, and hopefully, this will snowball into more collaborations as we move forward.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, how do you navigate moments of doubt or burnout? What role did your faith, family, or mindset play during those times?
Yeah, I think that, there have been a couple of times where I hopped on Zoom with Steven, my business coach, and I was just kind of in a sour mood. And
I didn't know you have a business coach.
Yes, Steven was our business coach for the last 4 years.
So
with the
the
franchise.
franchise provided a business coach
Yeah.
for us, which was
He was
really
with us
helpful.
for 4 years,
Very
and the whole
helpful.
time, I only had the one. I didn't switch business coaches because they were able to do that. If it wasn't a good fit, you could switch business coaches. But I was with him the whole time, and I remember when
It takes humility to accept the leadership or the mentorship of somebody else, right?
Yeah, he
Because
was
your ego
hugely
says, "I
helpful.
want to do it all. Who are you to tell me what to do?"
Yeah, he was hugely helpful, and he gave us a lot of great ideas that were out of the box and things that I didn't think about. And I don't know what I don't know. I've never owned a business before. With us being hugely successful, I still thought, okay, I don't know everything. Stephen was really good at being like, have you tried this yet? I would probably do this instead of that. And sometimes I would listen and sometimes I wouldn't. And Paul always makes fun of me because he would be like, well, I already told you this, Sarah, but because Steven said it, it's right now. I was like, well, yeah, he's the business coach, But yeah, Paul would, make fun of me about it because Paul would tell me a lot of the same things before Steven would. And because Steven said it, that's when I would listen. So it was really funny. But I think just, leaning on God and knowing what is in his plan. And I had a great support system, like with Paul and with my mom and my friends. And, the local chamber members and Kiwanis Club, and I felt like everybody was my cheerleader. When I had hard days, I just looked inside myself and thought about my why. And then I also thought, like this is bigger than myself. And I think at the end of the day, we've got to give ourselves grace. Like it's a bad day. It's not a bad month. It's not a bad year. It's not a bad life, So on bad days, I would have my pity party at the kitchen table with Paul, and he would be like, all right, we've got to pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and move on,
Beautiful.
So I think just having him there to kind of, have that real moment and be realistic was helpful.
Wonderful. So, next question is, what advice would you give someone who's afraid to take a leap into entrepreneurship? And the way I solve for myself, being like such a small single-member LLC owner, is that I always believe that, number one, we are 8 billion people on planet Earth. You're never going to run out of people to serve. Right. That's just a fact. Number two, God, or however you want to label it, the higher power that loves us, nature, life itself, always provides more abundance than we need. There's only so much food you can eat in a day. There's only so many properties you can acquire. There's always going to be more than plenty. There's more abundance that's created on a single day, every single day for all of us. So you're never going to run out of stuff in this 100 years of lifetime that we've been given, hopefully, on a healthy side. Yeah. So tell me, what's your advice you'd give somebody?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people in this world who like to live inside their bubble, and they have that fear of the unknown, or they have that fear of working towards a goal where they could fail. And for me, I just say take the leap. And either God will catch you or he'll teach you to fly. So that's my motto.
Yes.
I think that, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? What's the
Exactly.
worst that could happen?
Right.
When we launched the business, I thought to myself, okay, what's the worst that could happen? It's not a life or death situation. Even if we went out of business or failed miserably, what's the worst that could happen? We help a few hundred families, like that's great. It's so I think just take the leap. If the bottom line is, I feel like we're successful as human beings if we're helping one another in life. I think that's our life's purpose. I think that's God's plan for us as people. So I think, like with my horse therapy goal, that's my dream. And I've achieved every single thing that I've set out to do in my life, and I'm really proud of that.
Yay.
And I'm very honored that that's happened, because it could have just not happened. It could have just been a huge failure, but it wasn't. So I just say take the leap and know that you are capable of a lot more than what you think. So.
I'm a big reader in personal development and philosophy, and so I have my favorites. Not only Tony Robbins.
Yes, I love him.
There's his mentor was Jim Rohn, which was the CEO of Herbalife, right? And he's got tons of motivational stuff on YouTube you can listen to. But he said, success is something you attract by the person you become, by becoming an attractive person. And failure is those are just like, the failure is your best teacher, right? No matter how you keep failing, those are all learning opportunities.
It's like that book, Fail Forward. I think there's a book called Fail Forward. I have a lot of business books on my bookshelf, actually. There's a couple that I still need to read. Atomic Habits is one that I've read. That the 1% improvement every day. That's a huge part of Atomic Habits, and in a year you'll be like 37 times better than what you were. So I think that's a huge shout out to Atomic Habits. Great book. I love it.
Have you ever read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill?
I don't think so.
One of the sort of Bible 101 for business entrepreneurs. That's one I want to get into. And then I keep hearing about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think I have that book. I bought it, I think at Barnes & Noble at our book fair for Kiwanis Club. Think and Grow Rich is very small. It can be read very quickly. And
I love business books.
It is.
I'm a huge fan of business books. Yeah, anything to help me grow professionally. I love that. I'm a huge
There's
reader.
one quote from Napoleon Hill that says, every failure carries, or every challenge carries with it a seed of an equal or greater opportunity. And it's been the case for me too, because I moved from Maryland to Colorado, and every time you move, you have to essentially start over.
Yes.
It's a big jump too.
It is a big
It's
jump.
not just moving an hour away, you're moving states away.
States away, and different rules, different regulations, different communities, different mentalities.
Yeah.
So let's move forward. I want to talk about how you guys are transitioning forward. So after selling your franchise in 2025, which is now, right? How did you feel closing that chapter? And what that experience taught you about letting go and starting over fresh?
Yeah, I think there was a little part of me that, was grieving. I think when we close chapters and open new chapters, there's a bit of grief aspect that we go through. There's excitement, there's a sense of hope that we go through as well. But I think for us, we've grown to accept it, and we've successfully moved forward.
Good.
And I intentionally took off a few months
right.
from the business when we sold it end of March. And I think there's just a level of peace that we're at right now. I'm really grateful for the experience. I know I've obtained a ton of experience through owning the Tutor Doctor franchise, and I've made a lot of friends along the way in Canada and the UK. There are around 350 franchises with Tutor Doctor in 15 countries today.
So if you guys travel, you always have a place to go.
Exactly. So if we go to the UK, we can just bunk with, all the UKZs.
Awesome.
So
same with me in Italy. If you guys are going
Yes.
to Italy anytime soon, I'd be happy to
thank
go.
you. So I'm glad we've got a friends. But I would have never known like Jessica Bush in New Jersey or Nika in California or I would have never known these friends had I not owned the business. And I mean, you make friends wherever we go, we make friends. And so I loved it. It was a great experience, very, very uplifting and positive. Yeah.
And so, I mean, you essentially let go of the business, but of course your mind is always active, right? You're always focusing on something,
Yes.
right? So now, how this period of transition helped you reconnect with your purpose? You're always up to something, right?
Yeah.
You're volunteering.
My mom and sister and I got a pedicure the other day, and my mom and Chloe look at me and they're like, "Sis, you're always busy. Like you're always busy. You're not even working yet, and you're busy." I mean, I'm still, recruiting part-time for Maria in Georgia, but I'm staying busy. I'm still on the board of Southwest Area Chamber. I'm still on the board of Crestwood Sunset Hills Kiwanis Club. So I've just kind of immersed myself in the volunteering aspect of the community, and pivoted my time from the business into the chamber and Kiwanis Club and things like that. So I think just staying busy, the last couple of weeks have been very busy with me interviewing at quite a variety of companies, and I'll have probably about 3 choices to choose from this coming week. I'll probably decide which job I'll take this coming
So
Friday.
you've been sending out curriculums and okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So you have expressed interest in future work in education, recruiting, business management. So what attracts you to each of those paths? And if you could design your ideal role, what would that include?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of...
What is one thing that you want to do that say, oh my goodness, they're actually paying me for doing what I love?
I think for me, there's a lot of positives in each of those fields for me. Recruiting, I love about recruiting that I get to connect with people. So when I was recruiting caregivers for assistance home care, I went through the training of a caregiver, so that way I could talk shop with them and know what the heck I'm talking about. Growing up with a mom who's a nurse, I grew up in the health field. And so I kind of knew a bit about like a gait belt and a Hoyer lift and a slide board. But just being around the geriatric population too, I think it warms my heart, it warmed my heart recruiting caregivers and knowing that I was choosing who was going to take care of these clients in a loving way and in a supportive way. Same with the tutors. So with Tutor Doctor, I'm currently working part-time for my friends Maria and Aaron, who own the Georgia Tutor Doctor, and recruiting part-time with tutors for them, and just connecting with these teachers and knowing that they got in the field for the right reasons, just same as me, that they're in alignment with our core values and that they love to help and support people and their students. And so I think for me, the connection, the helping people, my ideal job is just to help people, whether that's in recruiting, the business aspect I think is the helping people is very attractive to me, and being around people in the chamber and just having that networking and that connection with others. I think anything like that along those lines, helping people, training people, connecting, that's huge for me.
And would you ever consider starting another business again? You mentioned the horse therapy.
Yeah, definitely. We've actually looked into owning a Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
previously. We did look into
Before,
that previously. We did.
We were looking at buying a couple,
We
just
almost did it.
a couple different areas just to kind of,
We looked into it.
venture out the business on our own.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Chick-fil-A was one of those we would look
One of
at.
them, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think we
Definitely a
would.
thriving business.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think we would, in the future, and I know that there are several businesses out there that is, very, very great in markets that aren't thriving. And so
Can I ask you, from a technical point of view, owning a franchise, does it give you some true, real advantages? Because essentially you purchase a model, it's a turnkey business, right? They give you the system, the tools, process, all you need to do is just apply what they tell you, right? After paying the dues, of course.
Yeah, so I love the franchise aspect of it because in an aspect we were the small business. We were having to basically go out there in the community and basically we were a start from scratch franchise.
Right.
we were.
So
We built it from the ground
now,
up. Yeah.
there, with this particular one, Tutor Doctor, there wasn't a lot of not a lot of people knew about Tutor Doctor, and so it was like for the area it was new, even though it was in the different countries. For the area it was new, so we had to basically go out and market it. But you had the structure there in place, like okay, these are the things
They
you
gave
need
us
to
the
do.
blueprints. Yeah.
The blueprints basically, like okay, you need to prepare yourself with like a lawyer to pay a lawyer to do X, Y, Z to draw up certain documents for you.
Yeah.
You had to also make sure you have these certain levels of insurance on yourself available, because had we not known that, we could have potentially had been in trouble for
Yeah,
different
because we
things.
required 3 separate kinds of insurances on the franchise.
Yeah.
And these are things we
So-
wouldn't have thought about.
Right.
Yeah.
They basically set you up. They put you in the best position to set you up for success.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But you still have to do the legwork. You still have to do the all the running with it.
You do
So-
have the freedom to kind of run in different directions as you see fit, based upon your market, based upon your needs and things like that. So we had the freedom when it came to that. I like the idea of a franchise because we had corporate backing us as well. So if we had any questions, we would I would hop on Zoom with Steven. There
And
were
support.
we would get support from Steven, and I'd be like, Steven, I'm kind of in a pickle right now. I'm kind of in a bad situation. What would you do in this situation if you were me? And he would give me his advice, and then I would implement that in the business. And with corporate, they were able to support us if we had any issues or any concerns within our business, within our market, things like that. They were able to support us that way.
I'm glad to hear.
Yeah.
And never, you didn't experience any specific trouble. You never had to go to court or something like that.
No.
That was one of my biggest fears, I think, with owning a business, like being sued for whatever reason. And I think that's everybody's concern
Especially
or
in
fear.
America, they're so happy.
Yes. They can be. Yeah, people can be.
Yeah. So, how do you want people to remember your approach to leadership, and what are you most proud in your journey so far?
I want people to remember me as being positive and bubbly and uplifting, but also, like a leader, and knowing if I call Sarah, I can get my questions answered, I can get support from her, but also feel like she's my biggest cheerleader. And so that's what I kind of took out of, being a mentor to these new franchise owners and the regular franchise owners too. Like we would bounce ideas off each other on Zoom calls and things like that.
But I can tell that. I can sense that, the electromagnetic field that you emanate. I immediately wanted to have Sarah on this channel because I knew that she would exudes life positiveness. So I'm very grateful that you're here today.
Yeah, I think and I think one of our proudest moments with the business is, being nominated for those 2 awards. And being on that panel in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I was also, I also participated in roundtables where, a lot of us would be at tables and the franchise owners would, go to each table every few minutes and discuss different things like networking techniques, collaboration like that. So
I have a question. This is actually relevant to my field, and that is, so my next question was, what do you hope young women, especially future entrepreneurs, learn from your story, right? But in your circles, do you see that there is an actual factual need to generate this dichotomy, the masculine and the feminine, the women group and the men group, right?
yeah.
What is your opinion on that one?
Yeah, I think yes and no. I can see it from a business perspective because within our chamber, we do have a women's group.
Right.
We have a women's luncheon that, and we've talked before about this, and you're always welcome to come, and I'm going to let you know dates on next year. But I definitely think there's some benefits on having a women's group and a men's group within the chamber, or whatever community group in St. Louis. And for me, I think it's beneficial because as women, entrepreneurs, we can bounce ideas off each other. That's just individualized to us as women. Different things that we see in the community as women entrepreneurs versus the men. So I think it's and it's also for us as women, like to some women it might be a safer space than and less intimidating versus being around a bunch of men in mixed company. So I think in some ways some women might be more comfortable doing a women's group as opposed to being in mixed. But I see it with both, with the chamber. We're all very comfortable with one another at luncheons, and women and men being mixed in there. So we're all like a big family, and so I can see both sides within the chamber for sure.
As you know, I'm a yoga instructor, and yoga, as you probably already know, tends to be a more female-dominated industry. Yeah. So me being a male instructor, I'm already in a minefield every time I step in. Yeah. And I always have to remind myself and the people I encounter that yoga is about transcending the illusion of separateness. Yoga means union. Yoga means collaborating, transcending the illusion of the separateness between the masculine and the feminine, and working together for the common good. Yeah. Right? For example, your husband has been not only a life partner, but it's been essential in the maintenance of the duties of your businesses, right? So there's been a collaboration that is invaluable, priceless, right? Yeah, that can be made.
Definitely, and I think to answer your other question, as women, I think I think women just need to know that they have the ability to do great things and to move forward with whatever their goals that they have in mind. They can do it. They can achieve whatever they want. The sky is the limit. And I think as women, it's really important to have that great support system, the positive support system, and just know that they can do whatever they set their mind to.
Nice. So, I love that. All right. So some fun and lighthearted questions, more personal. So what's a fun or surprising fact about you most people don't know?
A lot of people do not know that I went to state for singing in high school. So it's like when you hear about people going to state for football or going to state for basketball, like that was me going to state for singing. So it was one of the greatest days of my life. It was just amazing. I cried when our choir director told us that we had made state. We worked very hard on a couple of songs. We perfected them, and that was amazing. And the other thing is that I can sing the 50 states in alphabetical order.
Oh, seriously? That's so cool.
A lot of people don't know that. Oh my God. And then what else? I don't know.
Growing up as a kid in Salerno, Italy, and I had the U.S. map.
Yes,
I always told myself, one day I'll visit all 50 of them, but I was never able to mention all of the names.
It's so hard. Cool. I think it's hard because we did that. I think, what year was it that we did? Might have been 4th or 5th grade, but we took the test in elementary school and to know all the capitals of the 50 states. So we had to know that.
Cool. Cool. I love, my son is in a good school, and I can see he's going through that right now. So he's in 4th grade. Yeah,
he'll love it. It's a fun test.
If you could spend one day anywhere in Missouri, where would you go?
This is a tough one for me. I don't know. Like I was looking at this question before today, and I can't decide. There's so many great places. For me, I think anywhere where there's water and horses. So I really enjoy myself on the river when we go on our float trips and things like that. So it's a calming effect. Anywhere where there's an ocean, so that's not in Missouri. Like we don't live, near an ocean, but anywhere where there's water, which is the closest, is going to be a river. And anywhere where there's horses. So I think for me is going to be our future home. In the next year or two, we're wanting to buy our forever home. We'll sell our current home and buy our forever home on land where he can hunt and I can have horses and ride again. So that's going to be where I want to be.
It's a beautiful vision.
Yeah. So we'll have a bunch of land and be around my horses, and that's my utopia. You know, that's my utopia. That's my perfect life.
For those who understand energy work, most people know that, you know, places that have water, for example, a waterfall, they have those are called the higher attractor fields. We feel charged or recharged just by being in proximity to things like rivers or water.
Yeah.
Anything that is bigger, that you have a very wide field of vision in front of you. And that's why we're so attracted by this majestic natural spots.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's very calming.
It is.
For me.
It is.
Yes.
Let's see. What's your go-to comfort food?
Marshmallows.
Yes,
I love marshmallows. I can eat them all day. For me, this is something really funny, and Paul knows this. After my surgeries, so I have stage 4 endometriosis, and so after my surgeries or anytime I went for like a follow-up visit with my endo specialist, shout out to Dr. Corey Wagner, thank God for you. So Paul knows that every time I went for, like, for example, blood work, or anytime I went for a follow-up visit or after surgery, I would go to get myself sushi. My favorite is Shogun's, of course, but I also love Sushi Sake over here in South County. It's by our gym, and it's my favorite place ever. And I like the cooked sushi. I don't like the raw stuff like Paul likes. But it was like my reward for going in and getting blood work done or whatever. But after every single, after every follow-up visit and with my doctor or anything like that, was like my reward for getting sushi. That's my comfort food, I feel like.
Yeah, raw fish is like candy protein. I call it candy protein. It's so good.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the simple joy that never fails to make you smile?
Yeah, I think being around my dogs is a huge, simple comfort for me. It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel really relaxed. Nice. And being around horses at any time is a huge comfort for me. And then also being around our family and friends. Yes. Whether that's,
I can see your pictures on Facebook.
Yeah.
They're always around.
Yes, we are. And I think just being around family and friends, it just brings me peace. It makes me feel calm and comforted. Whether it's a bonfire, whether we're going out to dinner for somebody's birthday. I think the older that we get as people, the more that we're comforted by being around our family and friends, and we don't typically thrive in the
host Thanksgiving dinner, or you go to somebody's house?
Sometimes we will host. I think a couple of years ago we hosted Thanksgiving, 2-3 years ago.
It really is not the size to it.
It's not great for hosting. It's kind of so typically we will go to either his mom's house or his dad's. We'll go to both. His mom's house and dad's house. Typically we'll go to both on the same day. My dad and stepmom this year are not hosting Thanksgiving, so we'll probably go out to dinner with them instead. So yeah.
Closing reflections. When you look back on your career, what brings you the deepest sense of gratitude? Gratitude is a big thing, right?
Yeah.
It's what really propels us forward. My yoga students always tell them every single time, to reconnect to the energy frequency of gratitude.
Yeah. I think for me, there's a big sense of gratitude when it comes to, I'm just very grateful for the honor of owning the Tutor Doctor franchise. I'm very grateful for our families trusting us with the services of Tutor Doctor. They trusted us with their prized possession, their kiddos. And I'm very grateful and blessed to have had the opportunity to run the business. And the tutors as well. I'm very honored that they allowed me to lead them in the education field. And I'm just very grateful to have the opportunity to have these partnerships with these amazing businesses, with Southwest Area Chamber and with Kiwanis Club as well. And I just feel like they're a big family of mine.
Yes.
Lots of friends and family with
That's
them.
so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
And so how do you balance ambition with contentment, right? We all have larger than
Yeah.
life goals, right?
Yeah, we
Big
do.
ambition. We're born with it. I think that's one part of
Yeah.
the nature expressing itself in the form of growth and contribution. So when do you feel like, okay, so it's enough for today.
Yeah.
I'm content with what I've done.
Yeah, that was a big
Obstacle.
I think obstacle for me when I initially started with Tutor Doctor. I think I was just in that headspace of like, I need to do this, this, and this today, and I need to do like 20 things today. Otherwise, I'm not going to feel good about closing my day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just really had to give myself grace of, I'm mad that I didn't get this and this done, but I did 20 other things instead. So I think when we chase things in our world and it's never good enough no matter what we do, I think that brings us frustration and it brings us unmotivation. And so I think instead of looking at all the things that we still need to do for the day or for the week or for the month, we need to look how far I've come.
Yes.
Like, look how far I've come. My gosh, I went through 2 months of training with Tutor Doctor. I went through 4 years of business ownership.
And the health care.
The health obstacles that I've overcome. 16 years in the field of education. Touching all of these different lives within students, within the classrooms, but also within Tutor Doctor. So I think for me, just reversing it in my mind and being like, okay, I didn't get this done yet today, but that's okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yes.
And so I think just chasing that, that carrot every single day is recipe for disaster when it comes to motivation. And so just keeping the mindset positive and uplifting and knowing that we're amazing people, and as long as we're helping others, that's what motivates me every day. And
hallelujah, amen. God is good.
yes.
I was gonna say, no, that's great. I love you all often mention give yourself grace, which is beautiful, beautifully said. So how can my audience or our audience support your work and future goals? Right.
Golly, I think any kind of networking is helpful. I love connecting with people, and anything that I can do to connect other people within my network is going to be a huge benefit to them.
How do people find you?
So if they want to friend me on Facebook, Sarah May Cantrell.
You have an Instagram too?
Yes, and I believe it's the same, Sarah May Cantrell. So Sarah with an H, and then May is M-A-E, and then Cantrell, C-A-N-T-R-E-L-L. So they can friend me on Facebook.
Yes,
and
check her out. She's an amazing people
and
connector.
it's the same on Instagram. If you guys want to add me, that's fine. I don't remember my Snapchat.
It's okay. It's too much.
It's
to
too much.
keep track of.
It is.
Seems like
So
we have a physical identity and a digital identity.
yes,
these days.
yes.
Now, final question. This is a question everybody asks. Every podcaster will probably ask you. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think for me, I'm a very big people pleaser, but it's to the point where sometimes it can be detrimental to me on a personal level and on a professional level. So I think my younger self, I need to tell to not give people my time if they are not in alignment with my core values. This goes for toxic people, abusive people, anybody who doesn't meet my expectations of respect, and if they don't have integrity, if they have ill will towards me, I think I could tell my younger self, don't waste your time, on them. Surround yourself with positive, uplifting support system, and just know that you're a child of God, and just know that that you are here for great things, and just to help people. So I think that I think there's a lot of regret that people have on their deathbed of, I wasted my time maybe working too hard as opposed to spending more time with my family. So that's something I keep in mind too.
Yes.
Like, I'm never going to put my work above my family or my husband. I recently turned down a job that was a lot of money, but it was 50% travel. So
Okay.
I would have been gone 2 weeks and here 2 weeks and gone 2 weeks on the East Coast, and it gave me anxiety to think about leaving. And I'm not an anxious person, but it still gave me anxiety. And I told Paul that, and my mom's like, Sarah, I think you'd be miserable, even though it's your dream job of like training people. It gave me anxiety. Yeah, and I said, I can't leave you guys for 2 weeks. You know, Paul and the pups, they're my family.
Most of the dogs.
Yeah. So mostly the dogs. Like I would say, oh, I can't leave you, like leave the pups and Paul. And then our friend Melvin called me out on it. He's like, you just said the pups first. And I was like, Paul and the pups, I mean, you know.
But like you said, you know, it's giving priority to you, what's valuable to you.
Yeah.
Right? So at the end of this life, we're not going to ask for, hey, go fetch me the keys to my Lamborghini because I worked so hard to make that happen. No, you're going to go and ask for people that will stay next to you, will remember you for what you were and your presence. Right? That's the most important thing.
And they say that when you're on your deathbed, like, I'm not going to go grab my master's degree. Yeah. I'm not going to go grab... You know what I mean, like
the
my
mahogany framed
all
stuff.
of these mahogany framed awards. I'm not going to give a crap about that. Like I'm going to grab my husband and my dogs and my mom and my siblings and like all my family and friends. You know, so
amen.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it is. All right. So Sarah, this has been such a heartfelt and inspiring conversation. Thank you so much for coming in. You know, your journey from educator to entrepreneur, community leader to lifelong learner. It's a powerful reminder that purpose and kindness can shape every path we walk. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom, and your heart with us today. To everyone watching today, be sure to follow Sarah's incredible journey through her community work and future projects. And as always, if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Yogaphora for more uplifting stories that connect mind, body, and heart. I'm Andrea Spadafora. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, may you live each day with balance, purpose, and grace. Arrivederci. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul, Paolo, and Sarah. See you.